Greetings everyone, TimeRider here with another quarantine build. This casting was sent to me by longtime subscriber Steve Wilson over in the UK. I'm sure you recognize it as the Hot Wheels Deuce Roadster. Mattel first produced these cars in 2000 as a part of the first edition series. They continued to produce them in many variants, including one that was unpainted. This one is a 2001 model and was sold as a mainline Hot Wheels and also as a part of their Hot Rod series. I'm going to try to make this one pretty. No small feat for a guy with big hands in such a small casting, so stick around. The casting was held together with two posts, and as you can see, I already have the base off, but I still want to clean them up. You know, the 32 Ford, interestingly enough, it was kind of at a crossroads in American history because it was the middle of the Depression, and it was one of the least expensive automobiles that had been produced to that time. So it really filled a need when a need was needed to be filled. Tap these out so I can put some button screws in them. I wound up having to drill these holes just a little bit deeper. And I gotta put it back together, right? And here we go into the primordial ooze. It's one of the first cars made with a V8. And they did that because Chevy's six-cylinder cars were kicking the heck out of the Fords in sales. And everybody told Ford that it couldn't be done, a V8 automobile. The funny thing is his engineers said, yeah, once he got his nose out of it, we were able to do it. So, like a lot of entrepreneurs of the day, I'm sure he figured he knew best. Get her cleaned up here. And then I didn't really do much more as far as prep because it is so small, and it basically went right into the paint booth, and it got white duplicolor and the redline base coat. And then I had put this on my community pages, and somebody had suggested orange with a black top, and you know, I really liked that combination, so we're using Spectre Flame Orange here. And you know, I have to apologize because I'm shooting so doggone many videos. I lost somewhere in a folder the video of me painting the black on here. So I'm sorry I don't have that. But that's what I'm doing. I'm going to paint the sides this Spectre Flame Orange with the redline base coat, and the top is just going to be gloss black. And then once I, got the gloss black painted and it cured, so that it was, I wasn't going to leave a fingerprint in it, I guess. I started scraping off this trim rail. And I'll tell you, you probably seen me do this before, and I like doing it this way, but the big drawback to this is if you don't have a really flat surface that you're scraping, it can look pretty butched up. So you kind of have to be careful with it. Sometimes sandpaper is a better alternative. You just have to decide for yourself. Ford made about 7,900 Roadsters. And you could get it from somewhere between $460 and $650 depending on your options. I gave it a coat of Redline Shop Clear because the stuff is bulletproof. This was actually at one point called the Model B, And then that was when Ford kind of switched and got away from the letters, because they also made a Model 18 in that year, which is the more popular one because it had the V8. And I thought it'd be a nice touch to have the insides of these wheels gold to go with the orange. I thought it would look good. And boy, these front ones are really, really small. But there they are, all done. And I figured I'd detail the interior a little bit. It's very small, but it's also very visible. And every time I put the damn thing in the car, it scraped paint off. So here are these new wheels, Scuderia, and I wasn't asked to do a review, and apparently one of my subscribers is a distributor for these. And they're beautiful wheels, but here's how you put the things together. You take this itty-bitty little thing, and what I did there is I dipped the axle in Starbond. And then you got to get that axle into an even smaller hole on the end of the... on one side of the little center post hub. And this part wasn't all that hard. The tricky part was when you try to put the last piece together. I suppose I could have put the cap down on the ground and tried to go at it that way, but even with super glue, these things don't stay on here very well. And as you can see, they literally stick to everything, because that Starbond is so thin that the capillary action, it kind of gets away from you. Even if you just use a drop, it just becomes impossible to handle. But if you're patient enough, boom, there it goes again. Oh, and I lost 3 of these trying to do 2 sets of axles. That they flew off, and I had no idea where they went. A little too fiddly for me. I love the wheels. I don't like the axles, and maybe there's a better way to do this. I don't know. This was my first time at it, but considering that I could probably accomplish this either like Keith does over at Outlaw Speed Shop and just crimping the end, or using a channel with like a straight pin. I don't know. I'll buy more of them. They're nice wheels. I thought I'd detail this casting a little bit on the bottom. You know, if you don't have a full set of Sharpies, you should get one if you're going to do this. They're cheap and they work good on bare metal, and they're very controllable, very easy to clean off if you make a mistake. I'm going to take you back to the beginning here, and then this beat up little Roadster. I also kind of got to apologize. That window is so small, I should have cleaned it better, and I didn't. But I need to ask everybody here a favor before I show you how this turned out. This is my childhood friend, Brad. Now, Brad is kind of a banker guy, I think. I don't know, he and I don't talk a lot, but he's putting up... oh, and aside from being a banker guy, he's an incredibly talented musician, a professional musician. And he has been putting up these videos, these quarantine videos. And if you want to do me a favor, I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to Brad's rendition of Margaritaville. And I'd really love to give him some love, so if you could go watch his video, click the like button, maybe put a comment that says TimeRider sent me, subscribe if you like his songs. But anyway, that said, let's take a look at where I wound up. The Beach Boys sang about it. They named albums after it. Bruce Springsteen wrote about it. Manfred Mann sang about it. It was in the movie American Graffiti. They made so many of them. They were throwaway cars, but if you can't find one, don't worry. There's plenty of places that are making them still, so you can build your own. This is my little Deuce coupe. There'll be an episode of The Bench following the video. Please go give my friend Brad some love, partly because it would just freak the shit out of him. This is TimeRider, and I'll leave the light on for you. Thanks for hanging around for this episode of The Bench. Hey, you know, when I first started doing this, and it was kind of interesting because it sort of came up on Paul's live feed about how to do things when you first start out. But that's what I used to hold my models when I painted them, and I made them out of coat hangers. And then I bought these doohickeys on Amazon. They're incredibly cheap. And, you just take a pliers, a needle nose or some other kind of pliers. And what I do is I fold one of them down because I want to put it on the end of the coat hanger. And I'm going to do that with the pliers by kind of rolling that over. Because I want it to grab nearly enough. And then I usually use, this is Star Bond, that's why I put the cardboard down, because that stuff is so thin, it just gets everywhere. So if you're going to use Star Bond, be sure to put something underneath it or it'll wreck your mat. And let it dry really good, and then you'll wind up with something like this. And I kind of get off screen a little bit here, but, and forgive me for that, but I think you get the idea. And I put some tape on the other end, you see, so I have something to hold on to. And then you can throw a magnet on the side of your paint booth or your bench, because they will stick to a magnet. Now, I had so much fun doing the Iso Grifo large scale that I decided to make it a regular part of my channel. And to that end, I went out and I bought 3 large scale castings. The first is this Cadillac. As near as I can tell, it's missing a little guy. And I don't know what shape the windshield's in. I'll have to see it when it gets here. And then the second one I bought is this T-Bird. And I'm guessing there are people who would say, oh, this is too nice to take apart. But trust me, I didn't pay very much for it. And I think I can make something really nice out of it. And then lastly, I bought this Mustang. And, it always struck me as funny that it almost seemed like some of these other companies followed Matchbox around with their castings, But either way, I'll be doing this Mustang, and I also have bids out on two other castings that I hope to get here and add to the repertoire. And I'm talking like maybe one a month or something. I bought this kind of a while back and took it out of the bubble pack, and it's been sitting on my shelf. And I actually bought it because another one of my childhood friends, my good friend Bobby, he owned one of these when we were young and impressionable and thought we were 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And I have something special that I want to do with this one. So look for that one coming up as a part of these quarantine builds. Now, that said, I want everybody to be safe out there. Stop hoarding things beyond reason and common sense. And you can't ever read too much. I don't say a lot of political stuff on here, but don't get all your information from the mainstream media. They think that our entire lives are governed by 252 characters or whatever you can get onto a Twitter feed. And there's so much more beneath the surface that we never seem to find out. So anyway, I hope everybody is safe and healthy, and I'll see you at my next build.